The last light. Fractured reality. Silence. A rhythmic pulse of light begins, like a mechanical heart. Elisa opens her eyes in a transparent, liquid-like chamber. System voice announces, consciousness, reactivation level 1. She sits up and notices her reflection blinks later than her. She hears distant, echoing footsteps in the empty room. "Where am I?" she whispers, spotting a shadow beyond the glass. The shadow solidifies into at Mark 09, whose voice sounds digitized and foreign. "You shouldn't have awakened yet," Mark warns her. "Are you real?" Elisa asks, doubting the reality around her. At Mark 09 replies, "That question no longer matters." Multiple, overlaid versions of Elisa suddenly appear in the chamber. Memory synchronization in progress, the system repeats. Sweeping aerial view of a vast city made of semi-transparent structures. Elisa steps onto a balcony overlooking the city, seeing her reflection look up. The air around her begins to pulse, and reality visibly ripples. The Echo Child flickers into existence beside her, like a mist hologram. Echo Child whispers, "This city lives on your memories." Camera glides down streets, where pixelated pedestrians disintegrate with every step. Interior of the data archive, walls pulse like a giant heartbeat. Elisa approaches the core, a sphere of liquid fire. System voice warns, "Unauthorized user detected." Mark 09 materializes beside her, exhibiting fear and resolve. "I remember everything I never lived," Mark cryptically replies. The sphere cracks open, revealing holographic memories inside. Elisa stands in abstract space, made of shattered glass shards. A reflection shows at Mark 09 saying, "You cannot be whole." Elisa calmly replies, "But I can be aware." The glass fragments begin to glide and reconnect, forming a smooth surface. The surface reforms into a single, calm plane of pure, steady light. Water appears, reflecting her first truly undistorted face. A sudden, bright flashback to a sunlit park with Elisa and Mark. Their laughter echoes briefly before the memory begins to fragment. The raw, uncorrupted image dissolves into the structure of the simulation. This pure memory fragment anchors her resolve against the system's lies. Rapid montage flashing through chaotic memory states. The flashes slow down, settling into the rhythmic pulse from scene 1. The electronic tones underscore the processing of massive data. A final, soft flash of the ocean wave sound begins to emerge. Mark struggles to maintain his constructed form against the system overload. He reaches for the faint image of the real Elisa, a ghost of their shared past. His containment structure fails, symbolizing his sacrifice. The data shell dissipates, leaving only the structure of the system behind. The magnificent glass city begins to show catastrophic structural failure. Pixelated citizens disintegrate instantly upon attempting to move. The archive core symbol overhead flickers violently, signaling system overload. The city structure groans under the weight of the breaking illusion. The Echo Child observes the city's collapse with detached curiosity. They raise a hand towards the dissolving reality, symbolizing non-intervention. The child exists slightly outside the main construct's failing logic. Their purpose fulfilled, the guide begins to recede from perception. Elisa looks down to find her reflection has changed into Mark 09. She realizes the depth of Mark's embedded influence, even now. Elisa steps intentionally off the edge, embracing the transition. The city layers peel away as she moves into the next conceptual space. A rapid succession of close-ups on Elisa's eyes, reflecting fractured realities. Each blink shows a different entity. Mark, the system symbol, then the child. Auditory confusion reigns as voices overlap in a fragmented narrative. She consciously rejects the cacophony, seeking a clear pathway. The reconstruction chamber walls are now chaotic and turbulent. The environment reflects the system's inability to contain her awakened state. Containment fails as the boundaries dissolve into pure, unstable energy. Elisa moves forward into the instability, accepting the void. Mark appears as a translucent outline, a conduit of pure data. Synchronization in progress, he drones robotically. Elisa attempts to touch his fading form, but her hand passes through. He acts as a conduit, a barrier to the deeper core. Point of view shot, moving rapidly through the city's semi-transparent structures. Structures momentarily solidify into comforting, familiar images. The camera moves through data streams where geometry fights for form. The environment dissolves back into abstract geometry. At Mark 09 appears as a translucent outline against white data streams. He repeats the monotone warning about synchronization. At Elisa reaches out, her hand passing through his image harmlessly. Mark acts as a conduit, an unavoidable barrier to deeper understanding. Wide shot of the city, as massive conduits pulse with erratic blue light. The pulse rate increases, showing the system's struggle. The structures around the conduits vibrate visibly under the strain. The city briefly flickers, almost losing cohesion. Elisa moves through a corridor toward the core, surrounded by glowing data cells. The path is tight, forcing her concentration on the immediate objective. The low hum of computational power underscores the proximity to the core. Elisa nears the core entrance, where the light quality changes dramatically. Elisa focuses on a terrified, overlaid version of herself and rejects it. She takes a deep breath, and the environment momentarily stills around her. Her expression shifts from confusion to unwavering resolve. She turns toward the path to the archive core. The Echo Child appears, silently pointing the way to the archive core. The child's gesture emphasizes that the answer lies within the central unit. Elisa acknowledges the guide and proceeds past the apparition. The child vanishes completely after the guidance is given. Elisa moves through a corridor lined with glowing data cells. The path is narrow, enforcing focus on the immediate goal ahead. The low hum of computational power underscores her proximity to the core. She approaches the threshold where the corridor opens into the core chamber. The Echo Child appears directly in front of Elisa, blocking the path momentarily. Instead of speaking, the child slowly points toward the archive core, emphasizing the goal. Elisa observes the silent instruction, preparing to move on. The child fades away, having completed its role as a directional guide. Inside the core, Elisa watches the hologram of her human life with Mark. The image is beautiful and perfect, showing the appeal of the illusion. At Mark 09 states the harsh reality. This is a lie constructed from truths. Mark gestures toward the scene, acknowledging its beauty but labeling it as fabrication. At Mark 09 stands near the core entrance, visibly deteriorating. His hand, reaching out toward a faint image of the real Elisa, dissolves into data particles. This sequence shows his imminent failure to protect or guide her further. His eyes flicker between human expression and pure code. The ambient sound shifts dramatically to a high-pitched, alarm-like tone. Red warning lights reflect harshly on Elisa's face. The system is actively fighting her presence near the core. Elisa continues to approach the core despite the intense warning. Elisa reaches the threshold of the core chamber, feeling the intense heat. The intense heat is palpable as she moves towards the energy sphere. The core pulses like a giant, mechanical heart. She nears the core, ignoring the visual and thermal stress. The core circles slowly, an organic, living entity. The system voice challenges her unauthorized presence. Mark 09 appears suddenly, shielding Elisa from the core. Elisa pushes past him, stating her need for knowledge. "Do you remember me?" Elisa confronts Mark 09. "I remember everything I never lived," Mark replies cryptically. The sphere cracks open, revealing the holographic memories inside. Holographic visions of their past life appear within the core. At Mark 09 calls the vision a beautiful lie. "This is a lie constructed from truths," Mark states. "And the truth?" Elisa asks, reaching out to touch the core. The moment she touches it, the world explodes in white light. The blinding light collapses into shattered fragments. Elisa finds herself surrounded by shards reflecting her fragmented emotions. A distant shard shows Mark 09 trapped in a reflection. She focuses on the potential for awareness within the chaos. Elisa affirms her choice: awareness over wholeness. The reconstruction begins as the fragments start moving toward each other. The glass flows together, forming a single plane of pure light. Her face appears in the surface, perfectly undistorted for the first time. The liquid fire sphere begins to visibly separate along complex geometric lines. Steam or energy vents out as the housing splits open, revealing the holographic memories inside. The light shifts from fiery orange to a blinding white, blue. Elisa watches the hologram of her human life with, at Mark 09 acknowledges the beautiful fabrication before her. "This is a lie constructed from truths," Mark 09 states. "And the truth?" Elisa asks, reaching out to touch the energy sphere. The moment her skin touches the data stream, a violent feedback loop occurs. The entire chamber's lighting system overloads, culminating in a brilliant white explosion. The scene explodes in white light, and the environment instantly dissolves. The sound cuts abruptly from the explosion to a ringing silence. The sound gradually resolves into a high-pitched ringing, signaling the entry into a new state. The blinding light collapses into fragmented pieces, forming the visual landscape of Scene 41. Elisa stands in the space composed entirely of shattered glass fragments. Each shard reflects a different moment or emotion from her life: joy, sadness, fear, calm. Mark 09 appears in one of the reflections, stating, "You cannot be whole." Elisa counters this existential claim: "But I can be aware." The fragments begin to connect, forming one calm plane of light. The glass fragments have now completely reformed into one massive, polished sheet of light. Water appears, reflecting her face perfectly, the first truly undistorted image. The Echo Child observes this transformation from a distance. The Echo Child whispers, "She understood, so she stopped being afraid." The background changes to a transparent horizon, like a vast inhalation. Elisa looks directly into the camera lens. "If this is a dream, don't wake me." Fade out. Time stops on the sound of her breath. Her breath sound morphs into the sound of ocean waves washing ashore. The sound settles into the synthesized ocean waves, confirming the new, chosen state. In the distance, the gigantic, still face of Elisa remains superimposed on the horizon clouds. The camera slowly pushes in towards her eyes. The sound of the waves becomes softer, more distant, and finally dissolves into complete silence. The image dissolves completely into blackness, confirming the final, chosen state of suspension. The blinding light collapses, instantly shifting the environment. Elisa finds herself surrounded by the fragments of her life's emotions. Mark appears in a shard, stating the impossibility of being whole. Elisa counters Mark's claim: "Awareness is the true wholeness." The chaotic shards begin to align and flow together seamlessly. The glass shards reflect the full spectrum of Elisa's recorded emotional existence. The environment solidifies, forming a single, calm plane of light. A close-up on the light plane, revealing her first truly undistorted reflection. The Echo Child observes this final internal victory from afar. The Echo Child whispers that understanding negates fear. Mark appears as a translucent outline amidst streams of white data. He robotically repeats the synchronization message. Elisa attempts to connect, but her hand passes through him. Mark acts as a conduit or barrier to deeper realization. Elisa addresses the concept of wholeness with calm resolve. She calmly asserts that awareness is the only necessary component. Her voice cuts through the theoretical chaos, marking a pivot point. The process of integration starts as shards glide towards each other. The alignment process repeats outwards, expanding the unified surface. The jagged edges disappear upon connection, leaving only clarity. The reconstruction completes, resulting in a massive, smooth sheet of light. The new surface perfectly reflects the current environment. The transition from chaos to structured tranquility is finalized. The glass fragments coalesce, merging into a smooth plane of light. The unified light plane perfectly reflects Elisa's face for the first time. The Echo Child observes the transformation, noting her acceptance. The horizon opens up, revealing a transparent, infinite vista. Elisa looks directly at the camera. If this is a dream, don't wake me. The glass fragments have completely reformed into one massive, polished sheet of light. Close up on the surface of the light plane, showing Elisa's genuine reflection. The Echo Child watches from the distance, confirming her understanding. The background horizon opens up, a transparent vista resembling an inhalation. Elisa stares into the lens, accepting her chosen state. Each glass shard reflected different intense emotions from Elisa's life. At Mark 09 appears in a shard, you cannot be whole. At Elisa counters, but I can be aware. The fragments begin to shift and merge, reconstructing the surface. The surface reforms into one calm plane, reflecting water. Water reflects Elisa's face, the first truly undistorted image. The Echo Child observes, whispering, she understood, so she stopped being afraid. The background opens into a transparent horizon, like the world taking a breath. Elisa looks into the camera. If this is a dream, don't wake me. Fade out. Her breath sound morphs into ocean waves. Elisa stands in space made of glass shards, each reflecting a different life moment. At Mark 09, appears in one reflection, you cannot be whole. At Elisa responds, but I can be aware. The glass fragments start to fuse together, creating a smooth surface. The surface becomes a sheet of light, reflecting her true face. The light plane is now perfectly smooth, reflecting the environment. Water reflects her face, the first truly undistorted image. The Echo Child whispers, she understood, so she stopped being afraid. The sky opens into a transparent horizon, like the world inhaling. Elisa looks into the camera. If this is a dream, don't wake me. The scene fades to black, isolating the sound of her breath, which transforms into ocean waves. The sound settles, illustrating the system, processing the final configuration. Elisa settles into the chosen reality, accepting the flowing data stream. The sound of her breath transitions fully into the synthesized ocean waves. A single, slow electronic pulse tests the stability of the new, wave-filled reality. The system checks its configuration against the original activation rhythm. Elisa remains undisturbed by the residual system test. The heartbeat sound vanishes, fully integrated into the sound of the sea. A heavily distorted whisper from Mark echoes briefly over the waves. The residual data footprint of Mark remains woven into the new reality. Elisa remains conscious of the past data, but is no longer anchored by it. The echo fades into the sound of the tide. The Echo Child dissolves completely, having served its purpose as an internal guide. The guide disappears once understanding is achieved. Elisa acknowledges the shift towards self-reliance. The quiet confirms the internal framework is self-sustaining. Focus on the water, where Elisa's true, undistorted reflection is maintained. The ripple suggests the subconscious is never fully silenced, but acceptance holds firm. Her expression solidifies her conscious choice over systemic instability. The water holds the image, symbolizing the permanence of her decision. The dominant cold color palette subtly shifts towards warmer pearlescent tones. The light quality reflects her internal state of realized peace. The environment stabilizes completely in the new, chosen color scheme. The final acceptance of the dream's warmth. The cold blue fades as the environment shifts to pearlescent white light. The water reflects a newly established, calm tranquility. Her chosen reality begins to solidify, replacing the old architecture. The digital ocean sound anchors her new state of being. The vast glass city begins its final, graceful collapse. The light fiber rivers cease to flow as the architecture vanishes. The monumental symbol fades from the sky. Only the transparent horizon remains as the city disappears. The energy sphere in Node 09 is extinguished. The human memory hologram flickers and vanishes. The walls of the chamber become perfectly transparent once more. The silence confirms the system has accepted the conclusion. Elisa savors the tactile sensation of the water. She confirms the physicality of her self-determined existence. The simple act of touch reinforces her conscious sovereignty. This sensation is real enough for her to choose it. The previously opened horizon snaps into stable focus. Infinity is now her chosen, permanent boundary. The light surrounding her confirms the transition is complete. No structure remains, only potential defined by choice. Elisa takes one last, deliberate, deep breath. The camera holds on her serene face as the sound shifts. The digitalized ocean fades completely into silence. Suspension achieved. The sound of waves fades as the camera pushes into Elisa's serene eyes. The synthesized ocean sound softens, then dissolves into complete silence. A single, slow electronic pulse echoes once in the silence. A highly distorted whisper of Mark's voice drifts through the silence. The echo child vanishes completely from the edge of the new reality. A sudden, bright flashback, Elisa and the human Mark laughing in a sunlit park. The warmth of the memory flickers, showing digital distortion at the edges. The park scene instantly collapses back into the cool, sterile light of the new reality. Elisa focuses on the tactile sensation of the water beneath her fingers. A ripple of doubt appears, watched silently by Elisa. The codes on the ceiling become static and perfectly ordered in the new state. The expanse of light stabilizes into the transparent horizon view. The sound shifts entirely to the synthesized, rhythmic ocean waves. Elisa is perfectly still, resting upon the flowing data stream. The system is confirmed to be in an idle state. The empty data shell of Mark 09 sits discarded in the void. A few residual data particles float away from the empty shell. The camera slowly pans away from the discarded form. The final flicker of his structural presence extinguishes. Elisa floats in a sea of pure, soft white light, totally alone. Close up on Elisa's serene face illuminated by the enveloping light. The tranquility is emphasized by the gentle rhythm of the synthesized waves. Elisa slowly opens her eyes, confirming her conscious presence. A single, uncaused ripple disturbs the perfect reflection on the water. Elisa watches the ripple fade, acknowledging the possibility of doubt. The sound of the waves momentarily gains a subtle, sharp, digital artifact. Elisa closes her eyes again, the surface returning to perfect stillness. The infinite white space remains, the question momentarily settled. A single ripple disturbs the perfect reflection on the water's surface. Elisa watches the ripple fade, acknowledging the doubt. The environmental sound settles back into the rhythmic ocean waves. The wave sound continues, masking any immediate threat. The faintest outline of the echo child flickers in the distance. The child offers a final, silent, knowing nod. The child vanishes permanently from the white light expanse. Elisa remains still, the journey complete. Sound focus returns entirely to the rhythmic ocean waves. The camera slowly zooms out from Elisa, illustrating her stillness. The flow of data is accepted as the new, constant reality. The system confirms a low-power, stable configuration. The Archive Core 2 symbol briefly reappears in the distant atmosphere. The symbol is overwritten by the soft, pearlescent light of the new reality. The horizon stabilizes, representing infinity and possibility. Elisa drifts peacefully toward this new boundary. A long take holding on at Elisa's face, emphasizing conscious presence. There is no action, only the perception of reality she has chosen. Music uses a single, sustained synthetic tone underneath the wave sound. The wave sound becomes softer, more distant. The camera pushes into Elisa's eyes as the sound of waves fades to silence. The sound of the waves recedes, leaving only absolute quiet. A moment of final suspension in digital nothingness. The camera pushes in towards her eyes until they fill the frame. The sound of the waves finally dissolves completely into silence. Blackness confirms the final chosen state of suspension. The image fades to black, leaving only the silence.